Coming to you live from Tennessee, from the east to the west. We are talking Cowboys everything. And you just entered
the Cowboy Zone.
Welcome back to another episode of the Cowboy Zone. I'm your host, Marcus Jones, the Bluff City Cowboy, coming to you live from Memphis, Tennessee.
And this is Lambo from Cowboys, y'all, coming out of Johnson City, Tennessee.
All right, guys. Thank you all for joining us tonight for this episode of the Cowboy Zone. And had a lot of news break today. A lot of bad news if you're a Cowboys fan.
Very bad news.
Yeah. So before we get into that, we got to go through a quick recap of last week's game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All right, Lambo, you ready?
Yeah.
I do have a game recap.
Game recap.
All right, so Cowboys versus the Bucks last week. Very close game, very good game. We didn't pull it out at the end. We had a lot of things that didn't go our way. I mean, we were right there. One or two breaks, and that game could have easily gone our direction.
Yeah.
Is there anything from that game that kind of stands out to you in terms of kind of like a turning point?
I like the fact that it came out that we called more running plays than we ran, but Dak checked out a lot of those.
Thank God.
Yeah, I just like the fact that he is making great decisions like that, and has the confidence after being out to come in against the Super Bowl champs. A very tough game.
Yeah,
Zach Martin not there. That interior D-line coming in his face. Actually, we held up pretty well with that, and just to go out there like nothing ever happened and to be able to make those checks. I thought he did a really good job. We got to do a better job, though, with the little things, catching the ball, this field goals. That's hopefully he is coming. Greg Zuerlein's coming off injury, so hopefully that's hopefully we won't see that again going forward. Maybe he just had to get the butterflies out where he didn't have a preseason. I don't know, man, but
well, I hate to tell people, but Greg Zuerlein's not going anywhere anytime soon. If we cut him, we lose like $2.5 million. So he's here to stay for this year. So we all just gotta hope he can get more consistent and kind of turn things around.
Yeah.
All right, before we get into it, William Coach, as always, thank you for joining. We got Charlie joining us from DCU, 1/5 of the Keeping Up with the Joneses podcast every Saturday night, 8 p.m. Central Time. We got the Lunatic joining us early, finishing up over at Star Gang. He's going to come back and give us some great comments like he always does. And we got Jack Meeker. Yeah, we definitely got a lot of bad news that hit today, and we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. See, I got my guy Marlon joining us, one of my guys from my hometown, and we also got Sharon West Terry.
Hey.
So thank you for joining, and I see we got another one of my guys, Terry Rudd, joining us from my hometown as well. Gary Lumpkins, appreciate you tuning in, and then we got Eric joining us, the second half of DCU and the last fifth of Keeping Up with the Joneses. So, Gary Lumpkins joined us from St. Louis, so definitely appreciate you tuning in. And, D-Law's going to be a big blow, and we're definitely going to talk about that in a few minutes. But before we do, we just want to hit a little bit more on this Cowboys-Bucks game that we just had last week. So, Lambo, was there anybody who impressed you the most in that game? I know we kind of talked about this on Keeping Up with the Joneses, but we didn't get your thoughts on it.
Dak is the obvious answer. So to start with, I have to say Dak impressed me, but I already believed in the man and knew that was going to happen. So, I mean, Dak, Amari Cooper, are obviously. Connor McGovern is one though that really stood out. I thought Connor McGovern handled the load being thrown at him very well, which is another reason I thought it made complete sense to leave him there this week and push Martin outside. But who else? Diggs. I really liked what Diggs did. Working against Mike Evans. Did a good job. If only we could get something on the other side of the field to mirror that. And that's pretty much the ones that really stood out to me.
So there was a lot of talk in the Twitterverse about running the ball. So let me get your thoughts on this, Lambo. Okay, shaking your head no. Did us not running the ball consistently have any bearing on us losing that game?
Not whatsoever. As a matter of fact, if we ran the ball more than we did, that game, we wouldn't have had the lead going into the last minute of the game.
Yeah.
It's serious. Their run defense is too good. You know, it would have been a bad idea to run on them. First of all, our defense ain't slowing them down, and we got to keep matching points with that. We had to keep matching points.
Right.
And the run game wasn't going to work. I mean, that's obvious. Yeah. Everybody knows how good their run defense is. Martin's already out. And the pass game was working. Actually, there was times where we ran the ball, and I was pissed that we ran the ball even though we had been passing all game because it's working. I mean, we're just moving downfield. And then we'd run the ball and get stuffed. And I'd be like, oh, just keep passing the ball, man. Just go with what's working. I mean, the matchups were there. Their secondary was their weakness. We did the right thing. Running the ball had no reason why we lost that game. I mean, we had some key drops. The missed field goals were brutal. Like if just one field goal, we got this game. Yep. And then obviously when you leave it in the ref's hands, the Cowboys always get screwed over, and we know that. So at the end there, that probably should have been called as a push off, and we wouldn't have been talking about this loss. But I don't know.
It was a lot of calls in that game that could have gone either way.
The helmet was huge.
Oh my God.
That's 3 points, but that could have been 7 because we would have had a first down in the red zone.
First and goal at the 9. And the play calling, in my opinion, was very good. Actually, on both sides of the ball. I know a lot of people were kind of questioning our lack of pass rush, but Tampa Bay has arguably top 3 offensive line, best quarterback, arguably of all time. No question, the fastest of throwing the ball from snap to tap, as I like to say. He's getting the ball out quick. You can't expect for guys to get to him. Our defense showed me a lot that game to be pleased about moving forward. And the lunatic definitely, that no call was definitely some BS. The rules clearly say it, and people argued this quite a bit on social media. They say the rules say that it's if you take your helmet off for a celebration. The rules actually say demonstration. And taking your helmet off and slamming it on the ground, regardless of why, is a demonstration. That was a clear-cut violation. It should have been a penalty.
Yeah.
And William Coulter saying special teams lost the game, not just because of field position was horrible. They had 2 big returns. I don't know what was going on with our special teams unit. I thought bringing all those guys in and having all those guys playing on our big 4 would have definitely helped out, but it looks like same old from last year.
Yeah. And that's exactly what I was about to say. I was gonna say, I'm giving him credit where it's due. He was amazing blocking. He was amazing. I mean, one of the best blocking running backs in the entire league.
Yeah, he showed it.
Did a tremendous job picking up those linebackers.
Yeah, because they have arguably some of the best blitzing linebackers. I mean, both of them run 4.4s, and they're great behind the line of scrimmage. And and Zeke was just laying them out.
Mm-hmm.
And I see we got Terry saying Moore's play call second to none. Coming from a non-Cowboys fan, that's very high praise.
Yeah, I loved it.
Marlon asked a question about the timeshare with the running backs, because we saw quite a bit of Pollard. Like normally Pollard gets maybe 5% of the snaps. He got like 20% of the snaps. Lambo, you think that's a sign of things to come, or you think it was just kind of what the game dictated?
I kind of do, honestly. I think it's hard to ignore his spark when he comes out, when he's on the field.
Mm-hmm.
And there's times where they're both out there together, which I really like. I believe we've seen Zeke and a fullback at one point on a
we talked about that on
short.
Keeping Up with the Joneses. They ran a lot more 21 personnel than they've ever run. I believe Charlie put the stat up. They ran 4 plays with 2 running backs at the same time. And I think last year for the whole season, they only did that 10 times.
Yeah.
So to see that in the first game, and then we're going to talk about this in the storylines.
Mm-hmm.
Gallup's now out. We might see it a lot more. And
yeah, you're going to see some more Pollard, and that's a good reason why. That is a good reason why. I'm getting Tony Pollard on the field. He was targeted 4 times. He caught 4 passes. Out of those 4 targets, he caught 4. And he only got 3 carries, but he went for 4.67 per carry.
Right.
So damn near 4.7 yards per carry against a great run defense. He's got to be out there. Yeah,
and like it's probably Charlie says, he's more efficient and it's still too limited role. I mean, he's for his career, he's been a 4.7 to 5.0 per running back. You got to give him more carries until that average starts to come down. If the average stays at 5 a carry, and you just keep giving him more carries, that only makes the team better.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sorry, now we'll go ahead.
Oh no, you're good. I was just I was looking at his history here, his yards per carry. Yeah, 2019, 86 carries, 5.29 per carry. Last year, 101 carries, 4.31 per carry. And then now this year, unlimited, 4.6. So,
but 4.3 when essentially 3/5 of your offensive line was gone. You got to consider.
Mm-hmm.
Still had a high average.
I may be in the minority on this, but I had said to myself out loud at my TV that option to Zeke, I would have loved to have seen Pollard on there just because of his quickness.
Yeah, Marlon Nash said the same thing about that option play.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would have liked to seen Pollard there. That's no knock on Zeke. I love Zeke, but just open field like that, open space, the quickness Pollard has shown. I feel like he would have been good to run that.
Yeah, if you go back and watch the play, Zeke tried to beat the safety to the corner instead of planting his foot and going vertical.
Right, that's his game.
Yeah, but he didn't do that. He tried to go to he tried to outrun him. Pollard probably could outrun him or got close.
Yeah.
Zeke, even at this point, supposedly in the best shape of his life, he didn't have a shot of being.
It confused me the way he awkwardly spun back and fell. So it seemed so awkward and not Zeke-like. I'm used to seeing him run through somebody like that.
Right.
And if the guy does get him, it's 3 yards down the field at least.
Right.
And you feel a little better about the effort. It just looked awkward. The whole thing looked awkward.
Sorry about that, Eric. He said Charlie would never use brackets. All right, so we got another question, then we'll move on to the upcoming game with the Chargers. And Jack Meeker asked the question, do you feel as badly about AB as most of the Cowboys following? If you follow the Cowboys on, Lambo and I both were saying Brown should have probably been off the team.
Yeah, we've been saying it all off season. Yeah.
Yep. So I've always felt like he's a number 4 corner, and they keep giving him number 2 chances. I mean, we don't have a lot of guys who could fill their role,
but they probably would have filled it just as good as he did,
right? Or just as bad. Either way,
or just as bad.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't see Kennedy much. Lewis could possibly play some outside.
I was gonna say, I feel like if they're gonna roll with Brown again, I would rather just go ahead and put Lewis outside. put Kennedy in slot. Honestly, but
all right, I see we got Mendoza and Riker joining us, probably switching over from Star Gang. So thank you guys for tuning in. Definitely appreciate it. And if you guys haven't done so already, make sure you like and also make sure you share. Share it to your personal page, share it to your favorite Facebook group. And also, if you haven't done so already, for some of you new people, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channels. I'm Bluff City Cowboys, and Lambeau is Cowboys, y'all.
Wright, this would be a good game for Wright to honestly get thrown into the fire.
Yeah.
I feel like he would match up well against the Mike Williams.
Yeah, I mean, nobody on this. I'm probably gonna get killed about this one because I'm higher on the Chargers than most people are this year. But the only thing that's holding Mike Williams back is
himself.
Himself, injuries. Mike Williams can be a top 25 receiver if healthy, but he only shows it in spurts.
Yeah.
And people who don't watch the Chargers never see it.
I'll tell you one thing. I entered him into my starting lineup this week.
Yeah, I'm going all Chargers.
Yeah, sadly.
And Riker asked the question, did they think that Kennedy can't perform on the outside? That's a difficult question. We'll see what happens this week. I mean, even after what we saw from Brown, the coaches still kind of came out and gave him support and talked about the double move play. But nobody talked about the other 8 catches he gave up. And Shane Odom says the coaching staff is to blame for continuing to play favorites. Personally, I don't think he should be benched. I just think he shouldn't be a starter. I think he should still get some quality snaps in because he's a talented guy. But I don't think he should come out there and consistently be opposite a team's number 1 or number 2 receiver. Yeah, and Dominique says feels like a once winnable game is slipping. It's also a kind of game Dallas loses. Lambeau, are we doing game predictions today or are we gonna save that for Sunday?
What did we do last year? I can't.
Last year we did injury report. We did bowl predictions, fantasy favorites, and I think we did do game predictions. So we'll save game predictions for Sunday. And Terry giving me fantasy tips. Look, man, don't worry about my fantasy team. You know I'm starting Herbert. So I got the full stack on my fantasy team. On one of my teams, I got Herbert, I got Eckler, I got Allen, and I might pick up Cook. So it's gonna be an interesting week.
I got Herbert, Williams, and Eckler in one of my leagues.
Yes, I may go all in this week. I already got the kicker too, so I may have 5 Chargers starting. I almost kind of giving away my pick on Sunday, but it might change before then. All right, Lambeau, I guess that's pretty much all we got for a Tampa game. We're at 20 minutes. So, guys, if you haven't done so already, make sure you like and also make sure you share because we're about to do some more in-depth talk about this upcoming game with the Cowboys versus the Chargers. So, first off, we'll start off with some of the major storylines in this game.
Storylines.
All right, well, we got a bunch of storylines for this game. None of them are good for the Cowboys. First of all, we'll go back to last week to kind of close that out. Michael Gallup's out for a couple of weeks with what appears to be a lower body injury. So, Dominique, I'll get to this for over-under. I have that on my list already.
What's up, Big Phil?
Yes, Philip Mullins, thank you for joining. And Bossy, my guy Boss Hall says Mike Williams trashy. I disagree with that one, Bossy. All right, first storyline, Michael Gallup's out for the next couple of weeks. Lambeau, how do you think they fill in that gap?
I think Cedric Wilson will fare well. I think we'll see, like we said earlier, I think you'll see some more Tony in the game, some Tony Pollard. a little bit more. I think that's going to open up getting him on the field a little bit more. I think they'll put him out there in the slot at times, and him and Wilson kind of together will kind of fill those snaps in. I'm not going to say that Gallup won't be missed still. I mean, he seems to come in he always seems to come through in those clutch moments,
right?
With like a big first down catch or a toe tap on the sideline. Like he makes big plays at times that usually help this team. So I'm going to miss that. But I think it could be a blessing in disguise if Pollard comes out there and actually gets some real work in the passing game, and we see him. Really make some big splash plays for us.
Yeah. Another way it could be a blessing in disguise. We got to face Joey Bosa, and our team loves running 11 personnel. Maybe because Gallup's out, and you might want to put Lamb outside now. That gives the team an excuse to run more 12 personnel with 2 tight ends and Marlon Nash. As soon as I get to the point, that's what I was about to say. So now that gives you the excuse. Instead of relying on your tight end to be a primary route runner, you can leave your tight end in there to be a second blocker or a chip guy, and then your other tight end can be more of your third route runner.
Yeah.
And both of our tight ends are both really good at that, so you can be kind of interchangeable on them. You can even put both of them on the same side and have one chip and one runner route.
Yeah.
You can put them in motion. You can do a lot of stuff with our tight ends. You can't expect them to block one-on-one, but you can hope they can just do a little bit to help slow down Bosa on that opposite side. All right, and Jack Mika talks about Noah. I think we're going to see a lot more of Noah and Cedric Wilson also. I pretty much expect Cedric Wilson to be the starting slot guy coming into the game. And he can play inside, outside as well, same as Noah Brown. I think of the two, Noah can give you more of what Gallup gave you, just a big physical guy who can go up and make 50-50 catches and break some tackles.
Yeah.
He's shown it in spurts, and I think if he gets more opportunities, he can do it more. Rika asking a fantasy question. Which defense do you play, Tampa or Washington?
Washington. Because in my opinion, Matt Ryan kind of is like, he has those games. I don't know. You see, if you look through his fantasy numbers throughout, you'll see like, it'll be like, like what? Blah. And I mean, he just seems to go up and down a lot, but at random, he'll have those good games here and there. But, and I feel like they're going to have to throw a lot, I think.
And we all saw what Tampa's corners look like. Yeah.
And Giants are just such a dumpster fire to me. I feel like Atlanta still has talent to fix things. The talent to fix a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel like the Giants are a complete dumpster fire. Like, no saving them.
And Marlon beat me to it. This was going to be my point. If you go back and look at Matt Ryan's best games, they come against New Orleans and Tampa Bay. Every time he balls out and they pull an upset, it's always against New Orleans or Tampa Bay. Even last year, they had a great game against Tampa. And on top of that, the Giants have probably the worst offensive line I've ever seen in the NFL before.
Yeah, so last year in week 15 against Tampa Bay, he had 27 points. I mean, in week 15 against Tampa Bay, he had 27 points. He completed 34 passes, 356 yards, 3 touchdowns. And he played him again week 17. He had 20 points. Both times he threw for 49. He threw 49 passes one time and 44 passes the other time. So,
yeah.
I did say that I thought going into this year they're going to miss Julio, and I think they're still going to miss him throughout this year. But
I just still think they step up for division games.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and DCU said same concept with 21, 1 chip on the pass pro, 1 on a free route. So yeah, got a lot of options out there in terms of how to fill in the gap with Michael Gallup. And I also for that hive that's starting to build up. This is a good opportunity to run the ball a lot this game. One thing I always do before every week, I watch the Cowboys game 3 times, and then I'll watch the team we're playing at least once. And just notes from that game, the Chargers are very weak up the middle when it comes to running. Their nose tackle is not stout. Their linebackers, while they are athletic, they are terrible against the run when it comes to North and South. Kenneth Murray and some other kid, I can't even pronounce his name. We're going to have some opportunities to run up the middle.
So that tells me that could be a reason why we're hearing a little bit of the steel talk at right tackle, because maybe how that you can help cancel out Bosa if you got a good run game going and Dak's not having to drop back 40, 50 times.
Thanks, Mendoza. Always
maybe
names.
There might be a good game plan around attacking that weakness that you're mentioning right there in the run game. So, I mean, this could be us. Everybody that's been wanting to see a little bit more running, you could see a little bit of that maybe.
So Lambo just talked about Terrence Steele starting. The reason for that is because right after the game, it came out that Lyle Collins is going to be suspended for 5 games for breaking the rules for substance abuse. So, and we're going to hit that one in over-under as well. So we talked about the tight ends helping out. We talked about keeping Martin inside to help run. Do you think Steele has any chance with the stuff we're talking about in at least being competitive against Bosa? Go be honest, Lambo. Does Steele have any shot?
I feel like there will be snaps where you're like, oh, okay. And then there'll be snaps where he just completely gets embarrassed. As a whole, I think he's not going to look very well. Very good.
So there was a report out. Jerry Jones came out and said, it's Terrence Steele. And then today in the news conference, McCarthy says it's still up in the air. So do you think that there's any chance it's Ty Nsekhe or Brandon Knight, or do you think it's just Steele and Jerry Jones just spilled the beans early?
I think it's going to be Steele, but my hope is that they have a short leash on him. And hopefully that short leash don't get our quarterback banged up. But
we do have that in the over-under coming up in a minute.
It still didn't even look good in preseason against talent that's not Joey Bosa. So I'm a little worried. I just don't understand not putting your best 5 on the field. I don't care if Martin doesn't want to do it. You make a sacrifice for your team. If you care about your quarterback, you want to protect him. Connor McGovern and Martin in the game is much better than Martin and Steele in the game.
Yeah.
And with the way that McGovern held down the right guard spot, dang, I would sure feel a lot more comfortable seeing Martin on the outside against Bosa.
Yep.
He would definitely slow him down.
Yeah.
But here's what it is. We'll see what happens. But I say if he's struggling really bad, I don't want to see the right tackle carousel all game. I want to just handle it and let us get this W and protect our quarterback. Don't sit there and be rotating 2-3 right tackles. And who knows how carried away the game could get doing so. So.
All right, so let's move to the defensive side of the ball because that's where a lot of the changes are coming in at. Before we get to the big ones, it looks like Donovan Wilson is dealing with a groin injury. Who do you think starts in place for him if he misses? You think we can finally get to see Hooker?
I was leaning Curse a little bit, but
I am.
Yeah, I was leaning Curse a little bit, but I mean, yeah, maybe some Hooker. You can see some Hooker.
Yeah. All right, so now we'll go to the and Marlon asked when is Hooker going to be active. if Donovan Wilson misses this week, my best guess is he'll definitely be active this week. And DJ Dog says the practices and breaking their feet happened to D-Law twice and Gregory once. Man, with the injury like that, it's really just bad luck, honestly. If it was like a groin or a hamstring or a soft tissue injury, you can point that at the trainers. Like, okay, they're not doing something in the warm-ups or in the training of the guys to keep them loose and keep those soft tissues active. But with a foot injury, I mean, if it's the same foot that D-Law broke before, you just got to chalk it up to just it happens. You have an injury one time, more than likely you're going to have it again.
Mm-hmm.
So that one's really just bad luck.
So is there's still a chance Randy may be able to play, isn't there?
There is a chance he could play, and that's the next storyline. Randy Gregory tested positive for COVID. He doesn't have any symptoms, so all he has to do is have 2 negative tests within a 24-hour period. So I guess it all comes down to how late will they do testing. So will they test him Saturday at 10 a.m. and then Sunday at 10 a.m.? And if it's negative both times, he can play at what time? To play 3?
Yeah, I'm praying.
Down today, yeah.
I will feel a lot better about this game if Randy's playing on defense.
Yeah, I will too.
Because I feel like Randy and D-Law both out, man. I don't want to see Herbert standing back there with 5 seconds to throw.
Yeah, and that's definitely what'll happen. Well, if he chooses to, Herbert is a really good 3-step drop, throw it off his back foot on the 3rd step type guy. So this just makes it even easier for him. So now we'll talk about the big injury, and of course that's DeMarcus Lawrence. Reports are saying he broke his foot. He's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. Lambo, do you have any faith in the guys that we signed to kind of help fill that role? And not even from the pass rushing side, just from the run defense side. Basham was kind of known for his run defense.
Yeah.
And then we got Chauncey Goldston, who
is Goldston coming back?
Well, they didn't put him on the PUP list, and he was a full participant in practice today. So I would assume if he makes it through practice this week, he should be active, at least be active. Yeah. Now, how many snaps he gets, that's to be determined.
And obviously, it ain't going to be the type of run stopping defense you're going to get from Mr. D-Law himself, one of the best in the game at stopping the run. But I think it can be serviceable. Do you think there's any chance Urban could slide out some?
Urban plays quite a bit at right defensive end. Like if you go back and watch the game last week, I would probably say 20% of his snaps are at right defensive end.
So that could be increased quite a bit.
Yeah, he could just as easily go to left defensive end. I could even see him if Gregory wasn't out, I could see Urban being the starting left defensive end. But now with the injuries to both of them, it's going to be kind of hard for him to get in that rotation.
Yeah.
At least to be a starter, because we also rely on him so much as a guy on the inside as well as a backup.
Yeah.
And the Lunatic coming up with a great stat saying Basham led the Jets in pressures last year. He's a talented guy playing behind the line of scrimmage. Not a high sack guy, but he was known for his run defense and his special teams. Yeah, and Riker talking about Rondell Carter. We got a group chat going, and I forgot who made the post, but somebody was saying, I bet it kind of makes you wish that you didn't let Rondell Carter go and keep the guy with the good storyline from Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
Because we still got Azur Kamara, but I don't think anybody expects anything from him this week.
No, Rondo Carter would have been nice to have for
He
sure.
would have been.
He's probably thinking at this point, dang, I should have signed back with Dallas.
Right.
I would have had me a starting position possibly this week.
Yep.
Or some good snaps at least. That's what you get, Rondell. Could have signed back with us.
So yeah, early reports right now are saying that if we had to go into the game without Gregory and Lawrence, our starters would be Armstrong at right defensive end, Basham at left defensive end, and Anai backing up Armstrong. I don't know who'd be the guy. I guess maybe Goldston would back up Basham at left defensive end. I don't know how I feel about that. What about? Do you think they can? See, I'm one of the few people that thinks Armstrong can generate a pass rush. Like he's one of those.
He looked
almost
good
guys.
in recent time. I'd like to see Armstrong take that step forward this game. He has a chance to prove it. He has a chance to show something.
Yeah.
He really impressed throughout this offseason.
He did.
So yeah, I feel pretty decent about Armstrong.
Yeah, and Jack Meeker saying Rondell Carter's on their practice. I thought they signed him to the 53. Jack, I have to go back and look at that.
Gout is no joke. Are you telling me, Shane? I got something going on my foot right now, and I'm pretty sure that's what it is. It is throbbing.
Yeah, the lunatic saying Armstrong's in a contract year. There's no better motivation. This is his chance. Gregory might not Gregory. Well, Gregory and D-Law might both be gone next year. You get a 6-week audition. Let's see what you're made of. You want to get paid? Here's your opportunity.
It'll be interesting in this next draft. The defensive end and cornerbacks are going to be O-line. No more ways we can go next year.
Yeah, and DJ Dog said somebody needs to step up and fill that leadership role. My hope and that's kind of a lot asking for a rookie, especially on a team like this where if they keep doing like they did last week, you're going to see a heavy rotation at the linebacker group. So it's going to be hard to kind of rely on a linebacker to be one of your leadership guys when none of them on the field more than 40%.
I hope they increase. Just let him take full reins. Honestly,
Yep.
Let him grow. His speed, man, is nice on that field.
Yep. Yeah, DJ Dog. We're all anxious to see Goldston. They used a 3rd round pick on him.
Yeah.
Let's see what he's got. So we could have a couple of options on guys to sign. I kind of checked out the list. Couple of names stand out for me. I mean, of course, you guys know how I feel about signing veterans like this, but if we're going to be without both of our ends for a week or two, if we can get one of these guys for cheap, it might be the time to kind of think about it. Top of the list, Olivier Vernon. To me, he plays very similar to D-Law, and he's still available. One of the beauties about signing him right now, his contract isn't guaranteed. So if you sign him right now, you pretty much got him on a week-to-week contract. If it doesn't work out, you can cut him the next week. It won't cost you anything as long as you don't give him a signing bonus. But you can go get that guy. He can come in, fill in pretty quickly in that D-Law role. Might be able to play some right defensive end also. Another guy that I like is Trent Murphy, former Stanford guy. Not flashy, but if you need a defensive end who can give you some good run defense to kind of help fill that gap with D-Law and give Basham some help, that's kind of the guys I would look at. And DCU says top of the list, end of the list. I agree. I checked the list out. The cupboard's kind of bare. People will say Ziggy Ansah, washed up. Don't even waste the money. He couldn't even play a snap last year. Don't even do it. But I'm interested to see how this thing works out at the defensive end position.
Yeah, it'll be something to watch, man.
Yeah. And you're probably right, Brian. They'll probably wait till after this game. If it looks awful, they'll have to kind of go to the drawing board and keep morale up. The question is, if you do that, does Vernon give you a discount or does he take advantage? Now, Marlon, you keep mentioning Van D.
Van Der Esch.
Oh, I guess you mean Van Der Esch, yeah.
Trade Jalen.
The money won't allow it right now, but yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I don't even think we have a lot of guys we could realistically trade. I mean, we could trade Anthony Brown, regardless of how we think he looks. He's a capable NFL corner, and
Wonder if we could trade him for Chris Westry.
don't you hate to see stuff like that when you have a guy on your team for years?
Watch Charvarius Ward out there starting. You can see Chris Westry doing good last week out there. When we drafted Anthony Wright, I sat there and it's like we had or not Anthony Nashawn Wright. I was like, we had Nashawn Wright on our practice squad for 4 years. His name was Chris Westry. You never gave him a chance. Now he in Baltimore looking good.
Yep. We could have had Paul Adebo, but I'll leave the past in the past. Got an interception against Devontae Adams Sunday. I'll leave it at that. Shane Odom asked about trading for Gilmore. I think Gilmore's on IR right now, so you don't want him. And even if you did, I don't think you can trade for a guy on IR anyway.
I'm still curious to see what we're going to get out of Boss Man once he gets on the field.
We got about 2 more weeks before we find out.
It's killing me. I wanted to see him on the field.
And the Lunatic says Diggs had a broken foot last year and came back in 5 weeks. Was Diggs' injury a broken foot? I don't remember.
I thought so, or something had to do with the foot. Let me hold on.
Yeah, I can look it up really quick. He had a hairline fracture in his foot. You're right.
Yeah.
So my guess would be either D-Law's injury is not hairline, or he re-injured the same foot that he had surgery on before a couple years ago. All right, we'll see you later, Charlie. Thank you for joining us.
See you, Charlie.
If you guys haven't done so already, make sure you like and share. And thanks for backing me up on that. The Lunatic Gilmore is on IR with a quad injury. And DJ Dog, great point. The guys we realistically could trade would mean we were rebuilding for this year. At least that'll be the perception. And Brian, confirms it is 6 to 8 weeks at the minimum, which that's wishful thinking. It could be season ending. You never can tell with an injury like that. So, to be honest, we may just have to prepare for the worst and assume D-Law's not coming back the rest of this year. Check out a guy like Olivier Vernon, or hope one of the guys on our rosters could step up. And another thing I'm going to do after we get off the show today, I'm going to check all the practice squads in the NFL right now and see what defensive ends are available on practice squads, because with the NFL rules, there are some talented guys sitting on people's practice squads.
Rondell Carter.
But yeah, if I think I'm almost certain he signed to the 53 though. I got to go look at that. But the thing about that is they have that other rule where teams can designate 4 guys who can't be picked up. So we have to hope that not only the guys on the practice squad, but he's the type of guy that's not on that can't pick up list. So it's a lot of moving parts that we got to look at. And in Chargers news, not a lot of stories there. It looks like, as usual, Derwin James is dealing with an injury, so he may not play, but that's kind of been his thing since he joined the league. And also, another bit of a break for us. The Chargers starting right tackle Brian Bulaga may be out. So even though we're missing D-Law, which would have been a great opportunity for him against a backup who's probably started 1 or 2 games, now we got our backup against their backup. So yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of storylines. We'll see what else happens the rest of this week. Marlon asked the question, do you take a shot at Richard Sherman? For one, I don't think Sherman would come here for cheap. For two, we don't know what's going on with his legal issues because he had that trespassing and whatever he had. So because he's not in the league right now, there's really not much being said about it.
Oh, they would do something as soon as he signed with the Cowboys. I guarantee it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
The moment he signed, they'd be like, "All right, it's time to punish this guy."
Exactly. So that's the other issue you have.
Like Lyle Collins, they came down hard on that guy. My guy Lyle Collins, little rough for a first timer.
Yeah, definitely. And Brian talks about we should be able to create pass rush on the left guard. They ran the ball at the left guard a ridiculous amount of times on Sunday. The Washington football team did. So even if you can't, so I think we should have some opportunities rushing in the inside and running against their defensive tackles. So left guard would be Watkins and Urban. So yeah, definitely something to pay attention to. Is their left guard still Forrest Lamp? I know Mendoza probably let me know.
I don't even know.
I know they got Corey Lindsley at center, and they got Brian Bulaga right tackle, and then they got my guy Rashawn Slater at left tackle. I don't know who their guards are. Here we go with the BS messages. Sign T.O. and then say it's side Dez. I don't think either one of those will be happening anytime soon.
No way.
And DJ Dog asked the question, does each team have to designate who they're protecting on the practice squad? Yes. Every Tuesday, teams have to put out a list saying who they designate that can't be taken off their practice squad. So that's something every team has to do every week, and there's no limit to how many times a team can do that for one guy. All right, so let's move on. Let's go to and we talked about this quite a bit. Matt Feeler, I'm guessing. Thanks, Mendoza. Appreciate it. All right, so let's move on to key matchups. We're at 48 minutes, and then we'll go to our over-under, and we'll get out of here close to an hour, and then you guys come back and join us on Sunday. We'll do our keys to victory, game predictions, and bowl predictions. So coming up, let's go to some of our key matchups.
Key matchups.
All right, so of course, the first matchup we got to go to is Bosa versus whoever our right tackle is. And when I get the over-under, I got a couple of questions on that. We kind of touched base on this before. I think Lambo and I definitely agree. Whoever it is has no chance of stopping Bosa. Bosa normally plays up and down the line of scrimmage. He won't do that this week. There's no reason for him to.
Yeah. Yeah, he's grinning right now.
Yeah, so
I mean, even Collins would have had some struggles with him.
Yeah, Collins would have had trouble with him. And it looks like Bosa's healthy, so we can't rely on that. And Marlon says Dallas will pull up 40 this week. You heard it here first.
But will they put up 43?
That's true. Yeah, and DJ Dog, I caught that as well. Sam Cosme did look good. Another guy was high on coming out of the draft out of Texas.
Yeah.
And then he saw Joey Bosa, and it was embarrassing.
Bosa's so fast off the line.
Yes. Yeah, I was talking to somebody about that. I went back and watched the game a second time because it looked like he was offsides like 4 or 5 plays. But when I went back and looked, just pure takeoff.
It's like the ball in the center's hands connected to his foot. I don't know, just
it looked like a couple times he beat the ball back to the quarterback. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right, so I mean, we don't have to talk about that matchup anymore because we already kind of know what to expect with that one. So let's go to the other side and talk about Rashawn Slater, left tackle. I was hoping this would be Gregory. If it is Gregory Lambeau, you think he has a shot at making some plays against Slater, who looked really good last week?
Slater did look really good, but he's still a rookie.
Yeah.
So I think there would be some times where Gregory, with his really good speed, quickness, and bend, could get some good pressures through on him. Just for the fact that Gregory's been around a while now, and rookies, they tend to have times where little bumps and stuff here. So I think Slater's going to do very well. I think we can expect that, and there's going to be a lot of people upset about him doing very well.
Yep.
But I think if Randy was playing, he would have his share of times, where he would get some good pressures. But
so now we'll go to our offensive side of the ball, and you know I had this one on the list, Mendoza. We were both high on this guy, Asante Samuel Jr. I think he was drafted second, third round. Yeah, he's the starter in Los Angeles, and it's probably their best corner already from what week 1 looked like.
He was in my top 5 corners before the draft. He's a talented little dude.
Yep. And looking at how the football team played last week, they traveled a little bit. At first, it was Chris Harris trying to follow what's his name, Terry McLaurin, and after about midway through the second quarter, they were like, "Nah, let's put Samuels on him," and Samuels held his own, very physical with them, at the line of scrimmage. So yeah, should be a very interesting matchup between Asante and CD. And then you also got Chris Harris, the other corner, and he normally follows as well, but I think he'll probably be more on Cooper because I think I don't know which one to play in the slot more, but whichever one plays in the slot more, Harris will follow him in the slot. So I think we're going to get a healthy dose of Asante Samuels on the outside, probably against Lamb, if I had to take a guess. And then the other matchup I want to talk about, they got the talented running back Austin Eckler. He didn't do a lot of catching out of the backfield last week, but I expect to see a lot of it this week.
That's why I hope Parsons is on the field a lot.
Right. So yeah. So you got him and Parsons and also Neal. So I think that's going to be a very key matchup. And Mendoza talks about said would get Mike Davis. That, I don't know. Do they play Mike Davis in the slot? But if they did put Cedric Wilson on the outside, it probably would be Mike Davis covering him, which I actually like Mike Davis a lot. Very athletic kid, 6'2", 4'3" runner. I think he was one of those late round picks I really liked in 2018, if I'm not mistaken. May have been 2017. But we definitely got some chances. And DJ Dog saying, Coop knows Harris from his Oakland days when Harris was with Denver.
When did Harris leave Denver? Do you remember what year that was by chance?
I think this is his first year with the Chargers. So I think this is his first year. Or maybe his second year.
I was thinking second for some reason.
It might be his second year with the Chargers. So yeah. Yeah, Terry, that's my next question. I wanted to go to the positive stuff before I get to this. And Shane Odom asked the question, with D-Law out, does the emphasis go to the linebackers to step up? I would say yes, but it actually to me goes more to the defensive tackles because D-Law really made his name off of run defense. So now you really need those defensive tackles to step up in the inside. And also you need them to step up to make the job easier for the guys that that are replacing him, because you don't want to have them just get completely washed out of plays, run or pass.
I ain't
So
seen too many good games against Denver for Coop in his entire time with the Raiders.
That's not a good sign, but
2015, he had 4 catches for 47 yards. And then another game, he had 8 targets with 0 catches.
Yeah.
2016, with the Raiders going up against Denver when Harris was there, he had 6 for 56. And he had 4 for 39. 2017, he had 1 for 9 and 2 for 9.
That's not good. But
the last time he played him in 2018, he had 10 for 116 though. But that's the year that he actually. No, that was still with the Raiders. It was early in the year before the trade happened. But
Jack Meeker asked about Hill. I'm assuming you mean Tristan Hill. Tristan Hill is on the PUP list, so he's not available to come back until like week 7 or 8. If that's the Hill you're talking about. All right, Lambo. Last key matchup. Their receivers versus our corners. Now, I've been racking my brain on this one, and Terry asked the question. They have 2 very talented receivers, in my opinion. I think Mike Williams could be a top 25 receiver if he stays healthy. Keenan Allen is, in my opinion, at worst top 10. He's probably the only big receiver that I would say is a better route runner than Amari Cooper. And I know Cowboys fans won't agree with me on that, but if they don't, you haven't watched Keenan Allen play before. He is a monster when it comes to route running. And people forget that he's like 6'3", 215 also. So, Lambo, question. Would you put Diggs on Mike Williams or Keenan Allen?
I feel like I would, because Keenan Allen's the better route runner, I would rather have Diggs. I'd feel a little more comfortable with Diggs covering him.
Okay.
Mike Williams isn't as polished in his route running, and his hands aren't as sure as Keenan Allen's either.
That's true. So
I would feel better having our worst corner of the bunch on him.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Deluna.
But Mike Williams will drop sometimes. But
he does.
So I'd feel more comfortable, obviously, with Brown against Williams and Diggs against Allen, because I feel like Allen's the more dangerous receiver. Obviously, he's got better hands.
Here's my issue with that, because I watch a lot of Keenan Allen because he's one of my favorite players in the league, and for some reason, whenever I do draft stuff, the Chargers always end up getting guys that I really liked in the draft. Like this year, anybody who followed us during the offseason, I said if Asante Samuels was 6'1", he'd be the number 1 corner in the draft without a question.
Mm-hmm.
And they got him. I told you guys, Rashawn Slater is by far the best. He's the second best offensive lineman, by far the best guard. They ended up getting him. And then you go back to some previous years with Derwin James and couple other guys they've drafted in the past. Keenan Allen plays everywhere, and that's my issue. Did you freeze up, Lambo? Oh,
no, I'm here.
Okay.
I was reading.
They play Allen on the outside, in the slot. They line him up at H-back. They put him at running back and shotgun. They do whatever they can to make sure he gets free releases and is able to use his quickness. So that would be my issue with putting Diggs on him, because you never know where he's going to line up at. So for me, I would rather – I know Mike Williams is going to be on the right side. You put height on height, you shut him down, and wherever Keenan Allen goes, you got to allocate 2 guys to him, whether it's outside in the slot, H-back, running back. You just got to make sure there's two sets of eyes on them and hope, and just hope Diggs can take away that first route, because watching them play, Mike Williams runs 3 routes: hitch, slant, fade. If it's one-on-one, Herbert's throwing it up and letting him make a play on it. That's always his first read, it looks like.
And if he's limited on a lot of his route running too, that's actually good for a guy like Diggs who likes to break on the ball, and he could probably get a better read on that and take some good chances to make a turnover. But I like that. And like Mendoza brought up Guyton's name.
Jalen Guyton,
they're gonna remember that they had him in Dallas. Probably he's probably gonna be going out there. He's got a lot on his shoulders. He's a DFW guy, I believe.
Yep.
So he's gonna show. I have a feeling he might show out a little bit.
Oh yeah, they always try to let a guy get something on his former team. What's the receiver from Tennessee last year that you were talked about all the time?
Vols?
Yeah. He got drafted by the
Callaway or Palmer?
Palmer.
Palmer. Yeah, Palmer. Yeah, Josh Palmer.
Palmer plays for them as well, and he got some snaps last week, and he looked really good.
Yep.
So yeah, the lunatic, I know you say put Diggs on Allen, but the problem with that, Allen's not just lining up on the outside. That makes it very difficult for a guy like Diggs, especially if they put him like an H-back or like a wing or like a running back out of the backfield and just let him get a pure free release. I know where Mike Williams is going to be at, and I know what his strengths are. I've seen a guy like Diggs take away guys like that before. I've seen him do it with D-Hop last year. We saw him do it with Mike Evans last week. Big guys with limited routes who just have good hands and are athletic. Let's just let them go out there and try. And we try to figure out what we can do with Keenan Allen. All right, Lambo, we're at an hour, 3 minutes. We'll do one more segment, and then we'll get out of here. Everybody who's still with us, make sure you keep bringing great comments. Make sure you like, make sure you share, and make sure you join us this Sunday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time for our pregame show. Shane Odom says he'd like to see Jalen blitz and rattle Herbert. And let's go ahead and get the over-under, because a lot of the stuff that people have been touching on, we have it in our over-under for this week.
Over-under.
All right, guys. So everybody who's not familiar with the show, we have a segment called Over-Under, where basically I'll just throw some random stats out and you guys tell me over or under the stat that I give out. So Shane Odom brought up the question about blitzing Jalen. My question is geared towards Micah Parsons. Lambo, over under Micah Parsons blitzing 25% of the time. That's a pretty high number for a linebacker.
Yeah, it is. Although I would like to see that. I don't think it'd be that high.
Okay.
I say under. Okay. I think they want his speed available for Eckler on dump offs and whatnot, and that would completely that could be bad.
Let me ask you this question then. Because the way Dallas runs their defense, they sometimes have defensive ends playing in a stand-up position. Any chance we see Micah Parsons playing that defensive end role?
I was kind of thinking about that. End? I was thinking about that earlier, and I was going to bring it up and forgot.
I
mean, find ways to get talent, keep talent on the field. Why not? Maybe not often, but it wouldn't surprise me if we see a little bit of it. Maybe a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and Mendoza talks about KJ, I believe you're talking about KJ Hill, the wide receiver out of Ohio State that does their punt returns. And Jeff brings up a good point. Play more Cox to control Eckler. That's actually my next over-under. We didn't see him at all last week.
Yeah.
Over-under 10 snaps for Cox on the defense. Because like DJ Dog says, you could play Micah kind of like a stand-up defensive end.
Yeah.
And let Cox and Keanu kind of play some nickel, give you better pass rush, better pass coverage.
I'll
And that's
I'll
a
say
good point,
over.
Mendoza.
I'll say over. So they'll mix him in a little bit.
Yeah. They did put Fournette on the outside quite a bit. And when they did that, Parsons did line up on them almost man-to-man. I would hate to see them do that with Eckler and see Jalen out there covering man-to-man. You may as well just change the channel because he's not going to like what you see.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got my guy to Missouri, Larry Roundtree III, who's looked really good in limited snaps. You're probably going to see a lot of him as well. And like Mendoza said, that guy can run routes also. And Shane says he'd rather have Parsons stay at home and let Jalen blitz. Well, if you look at last week's game, Jalen only played 14% of the snaps, which if you break that down, it's like 11 snaps for the whole game. So I don't know if that number goes up enough to see Jalen get on the field and blitz more. All right, Jeff says he has 15 snaps for Cox. Mendoza says under. I'm kind of leaning without knowing what they're going to do. I'm leaning towards over. I don't know why. I just feel like there are some opportunities there that we need to take advantage of. I don't know what that'll mean in terms of pass coverage, but I could see them sending him on a few more blitzes. Now, something that stood out to me watching the Chargers play, like I talked about, Herbert is a 3-step drop, 1, 2, 3, sling it off his back foot. But he has a tendency, he has no touch. I have to say that. Everything he throws is a fireball. And I saw at least 7 drops last week of a guy that just couldn't handle it. And the ball was getting tipped in the air. Now, the football team didn't have the guys to take advantage of that. But based off of what I saw last week, I think even though our secondary is a little weak, we have guys who can take advantage of it.
KZ can take advantage of some tip balls.
Exactly.
Sure.
So, with that being said, over under 1 interception this week. Assume Hooker's playing. Assume Curse is probably starting at your safety spot.
I'm gonna push on it. I'm gonna say 1.
Push. Okay.
Yeah. Because I feel like they might be able to do pretty decent on the ground as well.
The Chargers?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm actually leaning over because watching that game, it was a lot of tip balls. It was a lot of just fast balls, and the receiver couldn't catch them, and they went in the air. Washington, as bad as we talk about our secondary, I don't think Washington has the secondary we have.
Yeah.
And I think our guys may be a little bit more opportunistic.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we talked about both of our defensive ends missing. We had 0 sacks last week. Over under 1.5 sacks this week for our defense.
I'm gonna give them 2. I'm gonna give them 2.
Give them the 2 sacks. Okay.
Yeah. I'll say over.
Where you think they're coming from? You think one of our ends may get one, or you think it's going to have to come inside from a linebacker or a defensive?
I'm gonna give Parsons 1.
Okay.
And I'm gonna give Armstrong 1.
Okay. Jeff, how many years have you been asking for our line to get their hands up? If it's not going to happen, we can only dream. Marlon giving us a bold prediction early. Jalen getting no sacks. Terry says over 3 sacks. Yeah, I'm kind of with you guys too. I think Parsons has a good game today, and I really think Armstrong steps up in this game. I just really like him a lot, and I think this is his opportunity to kind of show what he could do. All right, so let's go to their defensive side of the ball. So we talk about Joey Bosa, and we talk about the advantage he has. Over under 1.5 sacks for just Joey Bosa.
Over. With sadness.
As much as I hate to say it, I'm leaning over too.
Because I'm not saying that it's necessarily going to be like 4 or 5, nothing like that, but I don't see us holding him to less than 2. So
I agree. I just hope they're not the type of hits that Fitzpatrick took last week.
Yeah.
Because that hit that put him out was brutal.
Tell you one thing, if Martin isn't, if Steele is who rolls out there, they better hope nothing happens to Dak, or they're gonna have about 100,000 people in that stadium ready to come after them.
Yeah, definitely.
Hold on, we're playing in LA.
Yep.
It's still have
it's still
happened.
a home game.
Yeah.
All right, so now let's go to our offensive side of the ball. So we talked about their cornerbacks. You got Chris Harris, you got Asante Samuel. 2 very talented guys. Samuel's pretty young, but he's talented. Last week we had Lamb and Coop both go over 12 targets for over 100 yards. And this week we have no Gallup. So that means probably even more targets out there. So over under one of our receivers, 125 yards. That would be a bold prediction right there, Mendoza, if he allows no sacks. Over under 125 yards for one of our receivers.
That's tough because I feel like Schultz is going to have I think Schultz is going to have about 75 yards this game, which could eat some of that. I'll say over.
Okay, you got over. Who are you leaning towards in that situation?
I'm gonna say Lamb because I feel like seeing what Cooper did last week, I feel like they're gonna want to make him more of a focal point.
Yeah,
and I feel like at this point, Cooper's still hidden above the wide receiver 1 on this team. I feel like they're gonna try to take Cooper away, knowing that Gallup's gone, and make us depend on Lamb, who's still young, still growing. His hands have kind of been off and on for us, so so I would say it would be Lamb if I feel like he's going to get better looks.
I'm leaning towards Lamb too, only because I feel like it's going to be Samuels guarding him. And as much as I love Samuels, he can be a little aggressive. And I feel like that could lead to some opportunities for Coop, like on a double play, a double move, or just catching him off guard a couple times. All right, so we're down to our last 2, and Mendoza says it's going to be a good spread around game. I can see that also.
Yeah.
Because we're just so loaded, and I think we run a lot more 21 personnel with 2 tight ends. I'm sorry, 12 personnel with 2 tight ends. And like you just said, Lambo, you could see Schultz having a good game, 70-some yards.
I think a lot of that will be on 6-7 yard little dump downs where he gets 4 or 5 yards after a carry. He's pretty good after the catch. So
yeah, CD definitely has to get his yak up. That's what he was known for in college, and we haven't really seen a lot of that. All right, so the last 2 over-unders, our running game. Last week, there was a lot to be desired. A lot of fans lost their minds talking about how little we ran the ball. Over under 25 total rushes for our defense, for our offense this week. 25 total rushes from everybody.
I'm gonna say under.
Okay.
I'm thinking more around that, maybe 18 to 21 ish.
Okay. I'm leaning over. I'm really leaning over. Do you think it's going to be more than 25 touches for the running backs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I think Zeke will get about 2 grabs, and
Mm-hmm.
I think TP might get himself about 5 or 6 this game.
We got Geechee in the building. Thanks for joining us. See, I'm of the mindset of Geechee because I watched the Chargers, and the middle of that line is kind of shaky.
Yeah.
And we get Zach Martin back.
Yeah.
I could see Zeke by himself getting 20 carries and Pollard chipping in with another 5 or 6.
Yeah, that might be why they want to leave or have Martin out there at right guard.
Yeah,
Just
could
because
be.
of that fact, they want to pound the ball up the middle.
Yeah, you brought that up earlier too. Also.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, Geechee, you saw the same thing I saw. We always agree on stuff like that, especially up the middle. Well, I got 2 more over-unders. We got 1 more with our run game. Over under our offense, 125 yards rushing.
Under.
Okay. So you're leaning towards more of a spread them out game with our receivers and tight ends.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be better a running performance than last week, but
Yeah.
I'm seeing Zeke in the 80s, seeing TP in maybe around that 20 yards,
20,
something
30.
like that. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I'm leaning over actually. I think Zeke might get close to 100 this week, if not 100.
I hope so. I got him on my fantasy squad. So.
Yeah. And yeah, DJ Dog, we talked about this a little earlier. You got to use tight ends and running backs with Gallup out. Lamb is probably going to play more outside, so you need to kind of supplement on the inside some of the stuff you lose with him. And Mendoza says if we can get the run going, we're going to blow them out, and I don't say that lightly. You can see Dak pick apart defenses. You see Dak can pick apart defenses without it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and exactly, Geechee. If we're winning the game, it should definitely be over because we're trying to keep their offense off the field. That's when you run the ball, when you have a comfortable lead, and you just want to let your offensive line do what they do. All right, so last over under. We haven't talked about this much, but Eckler running the ball. Our run defense looked good last week. We made Tampa Bay kind of give up on the run early. When they did run it, they were a little bit effective, but after that fumble and after we got a couple of stops, they kind of abandoned it. Over under Eckler, 70 yards rushing. And I'll say this, they run the ball quite often on the edges. That might be even worse this week because we have 2 defensive ends out.
Yeah. He did run the ball 15 times last week, even though he was dealing with the hamstring. So that's quite a bit. So
they tried to get him involved in the run game last week. 70 yards rushing, Austin Eckler.
I'm gonna say under, but I do think he's gonna pick up a good chunk of yards and receiving the ball this week.
Yeah.
Which he didn't do last week at all.
He didn't.
I only think he got a target last week, a matter of fact, which is weird.
It was weird, yeah.
Yeah. Not one target.
Marlon and Geechee both saying under.
Supposed to be the PPR monster and didn't get a target.
All right. Well, we'll throw another over-under in. Over-under 50 yards receiving. Austin Eckler.
How many yards?
50. These are some pretty close ones. I'm actually
over slightly.
Over. I'm leaning with you. I think it's slightly over. One of those situations you gotta make up for last week. The lunatic says Herbert loves them. Herbert really loves Keenan Allen, though. Like he'll force it to Keenan Allen when it looks impossible. And more times than not, Keenan Allen makes a play for him. Mo Zavala saying he gets a $150 overall. That's a lot. I hope that doesn't happen.
No, that's a bad sign.
Yeah. Terry has him 63 rushing, 46 receiving, so about 110 roughly total. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have in terms of over under. We're at 1 hour and 21 minutes. We covered a lot today. Lambo, do you want to do a game prediction or you want to save that for Sunday?
Save it for Sunday.
Okay, we'll save it for Sunday. So, all right. So, guys, be sure to join us this Sunday. Lambo, are we doing an hour show or a 30-minute show?
Man, I'm thinking like 30 to 45.
All right, we'll do
something like that.
15, yeah. All right, so guys, join us this Sunday, 11:15 Central Time for our pregame show. We're gonna give you our keys to victory, our game predictions, our bowl predictions, and our fantasy favorites going into Sunday's matchup against the Chargers, as well as our fantasy favorites overall throughout the day. So we got a game tomorrow night, Lambo. And somebody asked this question before. You want to give a fantasy favorite for tomorrow night? Giants at Washington.
Let's see. Giants at Washington. Ugh, what an ugly game. What an ugly game. How is Gibson looking right now with that injury?
I don't even care. It's Washington. It's the Giants.
Yeah. He good to go for Thursday night. That's all I need to see. Gibson.
Yeah. Same here. Washington's defense and Gibson.
Yeah. Yep.
They may score the same amount. Washington's defense may score more than Gibson tomorrow night. It's gonna be ugly.
I wish I had them.
In
fantasy.
Washington's defense?
Yeah.
Yep.
For this game.
All right, so your fantasy favorite Gibson and Washington defense also.
Yep.
And those are Scary Terry. I like their secondary, but
I don't like the quarterback situation.
Yeah, but Heineke, when he came in the game, it was almost like nobody else mattered. It was snap the ball, find McLaurin, see if you can hold it for 3 seconds and throw it up.
That's probably would be what I would do in his situation. Throw it to the guy that gives me the best chance to, escape here looking decent.
Exactly. He tried to hit De'Ami Brown a little bit last week, the rookie out of North Carolina, but it was heavy McLaurin.
They need Curtis Samuel to get out there quick.
That's a good question, DJ Dog. Over under 2 fumbles for Daniel Jones tomorrow night.
Push.
Over. I'm looking
for total turnovers by Daniel Jones. I'll say
total turnovers. Definitely more than 3.
He's gonna have 3-ish.
Jeff said Shepard and losing effort.
How many fumbles will the grass cause? The grass alone.
Definitely. Did you see the play on Twitter where the Giants players are blocking each other? Did you see that?
Yeah. Where he got spun around, ran right into his own dude.
His own teammate.
It reminded me of that stupid picture that we got caught with our guys hugging another one from behind. Who was that? I can't even remember. Chaz, was it Chaz and somebody? Or
I think it was.
He got caught up and they screenshotted him hugging somebody from behind.
Yeah, I'm looking. Terry saying a big game for Gibson and Shepard. Marlon says Chase gets 2 sacks. Yeah, it should be a good game, though. I think it'll be good in terms of watching the Giants get killed. But in terms of the quality of the game, I just look for the Giants to just have their first implosion for the rest of the year, get it over with.
Yeah. I'm kind of hoping deep down that the Giants win only because I feel like they're the worst of the two.
Mm-hmm.
So them winning this, I feel like, is actually better for the division because I feel like Washington's the one we have to worry about this year if they get some solid quarterback play down the road.
Yeah.
But so I'm hoping Giants take them out just for that fact. But yeah, Washington's probably going to destroy them, even with questions at quarterback.
All right, we're at hour 26. We're about to get out of here. So before we go, thank you guys, everybody, for joining us tonight. I know everybody's podcast has moved to Wednesday nights now. So thank you for everybody who stuck with us and stayed consistent with the views as well as the comments. Be sure to join us every Wednesday night, 8:30 Central Standard Time, for episodes of the Cowboy Zone. Also, I won't be there this Saturday. I don't know if Lambo, you'll be there or not. But join us every Saturday, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, for Keeping Up with the Joneses. It's a collab effort between myself and Lambo, along with Dallas Cowboy and Uncensored guys, and Rika from Rika Moves the Chains. And, of course, like I said before, join us this Sunday, 11:15 a.m. Central Standard Time, for our pregame show. We'll give you our game prediction, our keys to victory, and we'll do everybody's favorite segments, bold predictions, and fantasy favorites. We got a guy who's gonna sponsor some prizes this year. So if you guys get involved with bold predictions and someone gets one, we should have some awesome prizes we'll be able to give away. And I see we got a Philly fan who snuck in at the very last minute, probably watched the whole show, tried to sneak that in last minute. Boy, they feel good when they get a victory, don't they?
Oh, it's on my YouTube too.
That's yours, okay?
He probably came in from one of those Cowboy Dale Eagle Disc videos back last year.
So Philly fan D, make sure you tune in next week when we play the Eagles and give us all those great comments that you want. I think you about to start leaving. So
yeah, definitely. And you'll have a great video from Dale as well.
Yeah. Next week is
oh, he just clicked. Okay.
Yeah, next week is rivalry week. So we'll have a Cowboy Dale video, super fan. So tune in for that. So before we go, Lambo, let the people know where they can find you
at Cowboys Y'all on every single platform. Most of all, please subscribe on YouTube. Hit the little bell. We really appreciate it. It helps out, guys. Help us on our road to 1,000. And we appreciate y'all.
All right, guys. You can find me Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Bluff City Cowboys. You can find me on Twitter at Bluff Cowboys. And like I said before, if you haven't done so already, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe on YouTube, and make sure you click that bell so you'll be notified of any time that we go live. So hopefully we'll get to see you guys again this Sunday, 11:15 Central Standard Time, for our pregame show, and also for next Wednesday, 8:30 Central Standard Time, for another episode of the Cowboy Zone, as we recap this game against the Chargers and we look ahead to the following Monday Night Football game against the Philadelphia Eagles. So that's pretty much it for tonight. I'm Marcus. You gonna play a little bit of it?
Bird gang killer, bird gang killer. It's a no-fly zone. Birds, I'm killing.
Bird gang killer, bird.
Y'all have a music video for that, Lambo, or is it just a song?
No, just a song.
Okay, so make sure you send me the song so I can play that with the countdown next week. All right, guys. So thank you for joining us for another episode of the Cowboy Zone. We'll see you guys this Sunday. Peace.
See y'all later.